the community wanted to know. The question was, so we run a poll each week, and the community really wanted to know, what is our mission? Why are we here? And so I'll talk a little bit about our mission and why we're here. So we set out, kind of two prongs, right? So one of the prongs is we believe that the CBC Casper type protocol will provide a mechanism for blockchain to scale, right? So we believe that proof of stake is the future. We believe that the current proof of stake protocols are not decentralized enough, and we believe that there's a path forward using the CBC Casper research. And so we set out to build a blockchain that will demonstrate that this is possible. And the only way you really know that a protocol works is if you build a blockchain around it and you build some value into that blockchain, you take a risk and see if it's going to hold up over the test of time. And we started with mathematical principles. We're not shooting from the hip here, right? So we know that the protocol is provably live and safe. We've been spending a lot of time doing work around attack vectors. Andreas, literally, I'm pretty sure he sits at his desk and just brews up new ideas every day. He's a very conservative individual, as he should be. You want your consensus researcher to really be looking with a hairy eyeball at attacks, particularly if you want to build a decentralized permissionless protocol. It's important. So that's the first thing. And we know that this is not a small task, right? We completed our research in October of 2019. It took us 12 months to get the protocol base research done, and then we went into implementation. And the second piece of it is that we believe in the promise that blockchain can bring to society, right? I, for one, personally believe that blockchain can be a great leveling factor in terms of providing access to capital markets and the ability for the average person to have access to these capital markets and financial instruments, not as something that's sold to them, but rather something that they actually can participate in as an investor. I also believe in sound money, and I feel with particularly what the Fed has demonstrated through this entire crisis in the US and in countries all over the world, that the governments are abusing their power and stealing from the individuals that don't have any investments that are inflation proof. And so while there will be some inflation on the CasperLabs blockchain, it'll be at an extremely low rate, about 2%, 3% tops. And the reason for this is, you want to have sound money. You want to have sound economics and a sound basis upon which you can build off of. And we've looked really, really hard at our token model for this reason. And I can see that blockchain hasn't been adopted, right? And we want blockchain to be adopted with features like self-sovereign identity, features like chain of custody, proof of custody. These things require that businesses and companies can build on the technology. And we discovered a lot of things as we looked at the landscape that were missing to build adoption. And so we found an opportunity that we're now taking advantage of, right? So two opportunities. One opportunity with the CBC Casper protocol to take a bold step forward and take a risk and to try to do something different and great. And the second opportunity is where I believe blockchain adoption is really going to matter is in the contract runtime. I wrote an article about this, and our marketing team made it a little bit more soft than my tone, but my tone basically is that consensus protocols ultimately are not going to matter. Ultimately, consensus protocols there will be maybe a single one or two consensus protocols that will provide the security and decentralization that we need in the market. But then ultimately adoption is going to come down to what can you do with the contract runtime? How easy is it to deploy? How easy is it to build defect-free code and smart contracts? How easy is it to maintain and manage? How robust, how much control do smart contract developers have over their on-chain code? And this is going to provide businesses the security that they need and the assurances they need to adopt that technology, adopt blockchain technology. And right now, the reason you're seeing a lot of private chains being adopted, number one, that's the adoption curve. But number two, it's simply too risky to build a business on top of, to go out and get investor capital and then build upon a technology that you have absolutely no control over. Businesses simply will not do that. I certainly wouldn't do that. And I think any CTO you talk to will tell you the exact same thing, that if I can't control it, I'm not going to build on top of it. And so that's why we're here. We're here to bring blockchain to the masses. We want to scale opportunity for everyone. That includes individuals that are looking for financial instruments, people to change money to make it more sound and hard, so that people are incentivized to save instead of spend, and can save their wealth. For developers that want to learn about blockchain technology, we provide a workflow and tools that enable them to integrate blockchain into their workflow. Instead of having for them to cross the chasm, we're going to meet them on their ground with using existing IDEs and existing CI/CD systems and existing development operations processes that make it really easy for, and familiar for them to work with our technology. All they need to learn about is how does storage work? How do I put data in? How do I get data out? What are the semantics of the blockchain? What pieces belong on the blockchain? What pieces do not belong on the blockchain? How do I optimize for cost? These are the only things they need to learn. Everything else is as native for them as they can deal with, right? You can use C-Line to run Rust contracts or any IDE of your choice, and then run your contracts in a local runtime environment. So that's our mission. That's why we're here. And if there's questions about this, as you listen to it, feel free to hit me on Telegram, hit me on Discord. I do answer my DMs.